Before we begin, I want to give a salute to Carla Jenkins for sending me this particular story. And the second order of business is that the content that will be presented in this video is graphic in nature. Viewer discretion is advised. Once again, the content that will be presented in this video is graphic in nature. Viewer discretion is advised. Without further ado, we're going to get to it. DJ, spin that shit.
Good afternoon. I'm Jim Dennehy, Assistant Director in charge of the FBI's New York Field Office. Today's indictment highlights the abhorrent behavior of Michael Jeffries, Matthew Smith, and James Jacobson. What's alleged in the indictment is not only beyond disturbing, dishonorable, and disgraceful, but simply put, it's criminal. In short, these individuals are charged with running a prostitution and international sex trafficking business using a combination of force, fraud, and coercion to induce victims into participating in their illegal operations. The alleged behavior occurred here in New York City and in multiple countries worldwide. The defendants allegedly preyed on the hopes and dreams of their victims by exploiting, abusing, and silencing them to fulfill their own desires with insidious secret intentions. Despite the alleged efforts of Jeffries, Smith, and Jacobson to conceal their crimes, efforts that included threatening victims and requiring them to sign non-disclosure agreements, among other things, their plan failed. This case is yet another example of individuals using their wealth, power, or reputation to manipulate and control others for their own personal interests. I'd like to speak for a second to the victims in this case and others, both those who have come forward and those we believe are still out there. The FBI and our partners make it our mission to prioritize those who have been victimized by sexual predators.
We're going to go through this indictment of the former CEO of Abercrombie Fitch. This is a 10-page indictment, so bear with me. This indictment is coming from the Eastern District of New York, where it is alleged that Michael S. Jeffries, Matthew C. Smith, and James T. Jacobson, also known as Jim Jake, Mrs. Cook, and Todd, from approximately 1992 to 2014, the defendant, Michael S. Jeffries, was the CEO of Abercrombie Fitch Company, a fashion clothing retailer that owned and operated retail stores around the world. The Jeffries Family Office, or the JFO, was established to manage Jeffries' personal income and assets, which included properties in Watermill, New York, and New York, amongst others. The defendant, Matthew C. Smith, was the defendant Michael S. Jeffries' romantic partner, as well as an employee of the JFO. In addition to managing assets, the JFO employed personnel who facilitated Jeffries and Smith's personal and social lives, amongst others, arranging their travel and managing their properties and financial affairs. What's up, Octavius? The defendant, James T. Jacobson, also known as Jim Jake, Mrs. Cook, and Todd, was employed by the defendants, Michael S. Jeffries and Matthew C. Smith, to recruit, interview, and hire men to perform commercial sex acts for Jeffries and Smith, including at the New York properties. Part 2. The sex trafficking and prostitution business. From approximately 2008 to 2015, the defendants, Michael S. Jeffries, Matthew C. Smith, and James T. Jacobson, together with others, operated an international sex trafficking and prostitution business. During this period, Jeffries and Smith relied on their vast financial resources, Jeffries' power as the CEO of Abercrombie, and numerous people, including Jacobson and a network of employees, contractors, and security professionals to run a business that was dedicated to fulfilling their sexual desires and ensuring the international sex trafficking and prostitution business was kept secret, thereby maintaining Jeffries' powerful reputation. So it was, it ain't bad enough that this dude out here being a goddamn sex predator. He's doing it to dudes. He's out there being a predator to other dudes. Lord have mercy. All right. As part of this international sex trafficking and prostitution business, the defendants, Michael S. Jeffries and Matthew C. Smith, paid dozens of men, including amongst others John Doe's 1 through John Doe 15, individuals whose identities are known to the grand jury, to travel within the United States and internationally to meet Jeffries and Smith in various locations, including at the New York properties, as well as in hotels such as England, France, Italy, Morocco, and Saint Bartholomew, for the purpose of engaging in commercial sex acts with Jeffries, Smith, and others. They call it the sex events. Some of the men traveled to and were paid to attend these multiple sex events. Now, all you guys out there that was so outraged about Diddy, where you at for this one? Because this one right here, Ninja, right? This one right here. Now, again, all you people that was so outraged about Diddy, right? And y'all was so enamored with baby oil and freak offs and all that. Where you at for this one? Get a load of this one. What's up, Reef? The defendants, Michael S. Jeffries and Matthew C. Smith, through the JFO, recruited, hired, and paid an exclusive set of household staff to facilitate and supervise the sex events. Amongst other things, the staff transported men to and from the sex events, arranged physical spaces for the sex events, and supervised the men who attended, including, amongst other things, facilitating the conduct of these sex events. What's up, Underrated Darkness? Salute to you. At the direction of the defendants, Michael S. Jeffries and Matthew C. Smith, the staff were present at, observed, and acted as security for, including by controlling entry and exit the sex events. The staff also provided Jeffries, Smith, and the men who attended with alcohol, muscle relaxants known as poppers, lubricant, Viagra, and condoms, amongst other items. As directed by Smith and Jeffries, the staff also directed men to, amongst other things, wear costumes, use sex toys, or prepare for particular sexual acts. Either the defendant, James T. Jacobson, or the staff paid the men for attending the sex events. Lord have mercy. This is some diabolical stuff right here. This is some straight diabolical stuff. Lord have mercy. Anyway, let's get. Oh man. All right. So continuing on, the defendant James T. Jacobson traveled throughout the United States and internationally to recruit and interview men for these sex events. During the quote-unquote tryouts, they got tryouts of potential candidates. Jacobson typically required that the candidates first engage in commercial sex acts with him. Following the tryout, the defendant Matthew C. Smith approved candidates prior to the selection for and transportation to these sex events. At the direction of Smith, Jacobson paid fees to individuals who successfully referred men who were subsequently selected. The defendants, Michael S. Jeffries, Matthew C. Smith, and James T. Jacobson, amongst others, acting at their direction, employed coercive, fraudulent, and deceptive tactics in connection with the recruitment, hiring, transportation, obtaining, maintaining, solicitation, and payment of the men to engage in commercial sex. For example, Jeffries, Smith, Jacobson, and others, acting at their direction, employed a referral system and interview process that failed to inform men of the details of these sex events before they attended, including the full extent and nature of the sexual activity that will be required of the men at these sex events, including, amongst other things, anal, the insertion of large sex toys in the anus, and high pressure enemas administered by inserting a hose into the anus. Lord have mercy. Jesus Christ. Mm-mm-mm. You can't, Lord. Again, all you people out there that were so outraged by Diddy and what he doing, where y'all at for this one? Get a load of this. Required that prospective candidates first participate in the sexual encounter or tryout with Jacobson at times without advance notice. Caused men to believe that attending the sex events could yield modeling opportunities with Abercrombie or otherwise benefit their careers, or in the alternative that not complying with the request for certain acts during the sex events could harm their careers, including by, amongst other things, referring directly and indirectly to modeling opportunities that did not exist, incorporating Abercrombie products into the sex events, and providing men with itineraries for the sex events that did not refer to commercial sex and instead resembled those often sent to models for photo shoots, thereby obscuring the nature of the sex events for the men selected to attend. Lord have mercy. Physically groomed men prior to the sex events, including at times shaving men's genitals without advance notice, requiring men to relinquish their personal items, including clothing, wallets, cell phones, and store them in inaccessible locations during these events, requiring men to sign NDAs or non-disclosure agreements, which, amongst other things, prohibited the disclosure of information about these sex events, including to their own family and friends, and required the payment of damages in the event of a breach. And this is how a lot of this stuff gets covered up. When a lot of this illegal activity is going down and they're sitting up here trying to cover it up through NDAs and all that. But when you commit a crime, those NDAs go completely out the window. And this is what we have right now. We got an international sex trafficking ring going on with these individuals. Intentionally recruited heterosexual men, certain of whom were unwilling to engage in these particular acts, including anal, and insisted that the men who previously stated they were unwilling to engage in particular acts, including anal, nonetheless engaged in such acts during the sex events. Pressured men to consume alcohol, Viagra, and muscle relaxants known as poppers during these events, and required the presence of the staff during the activity, and ensured that men attending did not leave the events until Jeffries and Smith decided that they were over with. On more than one occasion, the defendants, Michael S. Jeffries and Matthew C. Smith, either directed others to or personally injected men in their penises with a prescription grade erection inducing substance for the purpose of causing men to engage in sex acts in which they were otherwise physically incapable or unwilling. Notwithstanding the fact that these injections were not medically indicated and frequently caused men to suffer painful physical reactions that lasted for several hours. Jeffries and Smith employed their use to fulfill their own sexual desires by causing men to submit to them. Lord have mercy. This is crazy. Crazy. On more than one occasion, the defendants, Michael S. Jeffries and Matthew C. Smith, engaged in acts, continued to engage in acts, or caused men to engage in acts, including but not limited to anal penetration and the use of high-pressure enemas, to which the men did not or were unable to consent. So not only we got international sex trafficking, we got rape. Let's just call it for what it is. It's rape. If these men engaged in these acts without their consent is rape. I know a lot of people don't want to call it that, but when you take the booty without someone's consent or against someone's will, that's rape. Count 1, sex trafficking. The allegations contained in the subsequent paragraphs are realleged and incorporated as set forth in the paragraph. And on about between December 2008 and March 2015, both dates being approximate and inclusive, within the Eastern District of New York and elsewhere, the defendants, Michael S. Jeffries, Matthew C. Smith, and James T. Jacobson, also known as Jim Jake, Mrs. Cook, and Todd, together with others, did knowingly and intentionally recruit, entice, harbor, transport, provide, and obtain and maintain by any means one or more persons in and affecting interstate commerce, and did benefit financially and by receiving anything of value from participation in a venture which engaged in such acts, knowing and in reckless disregard of the fact that means of force, threats of force, fraud, and coercion, as described in Title 18, United States Code, Section 159E2, and a combination of such means would be used to cause such persons to engage in one or more commercial sex acts, which was effected by means of force, threats of force, fraud, and coercion, and a combination of such means. Lord have mercy, Jesus Christ. You can't make this stuff up. Now, this counts 2 through 16. Interstate prostitution. The allegations and paragraphs and the subsequent paragraphs are realleged and incorporated as if fully set forth in the paragraph. And I'm going to talk about these counts with John Doe, right? So count 2, John Doe number 1, December 2008 to February 2010. Count 3, John Doe number 2, December 2008 to June 2012. Count 4, John Doe number 3, August 2009 to December 2012. Count 5, John Doe number 4, January 2009 to February 2009. Count 6, John Doe number 5, March 2010 to April 2011. Count 7, John Doe number 6, October 2010 to February 2012. Count 8, John Doe number 7, December 2010 to June 2011. Count 9, John Doe number 8, May 2011. Count 10, John Doe number 9, July 2011 to April 2012. Count 11, John Doe number 10, August 2011 to February 2013. Count 12, John Doe number 11, March 2012 to June 2012. Count 13, John Doe number 12, March 2012 to October 2012. Count 14, John Doe 13, May 2012 to March 2015. Count 15, John Doe 14, September 2012 to November 2012. And count 16, John Doe 15, October 2012. The United States hereby gives notice to the defendants that upon their conviction of the offense charged in count 1, the government will seek forfeiture of recordings in accordance with Title 18 U.S. Code 159-4D of any property, real or personal, that was involved in, used, or intended to be used to commit or to facilitate the commission of such offense, and any property traceable to such property. Any property, real or personal, constituting or derived from proceeds obtained directly or indirectly as a result of such offense, or any property traceable to such property. Any of the described forfeitable property as a result of any act or omission of the defendants cannot be located due to the exercise of due diligence, has been transferred or sold to or deposited with a third party, or has been placed beyond the jurisdiction of the court, has been substantially diminished in value, or has been commingled with other property which cannot be divided without difficulty. What's up, players ball? Salute to you. It is the intent of the United States, pursuant to Title 21, U.S. Code 853P, to seek forfeiture of any other property the defendants up to the value of the forfeitable property described in the forfeiture allegation. And it's the same thing for counts 2 through 16. Signed by Breon Peace, the United States Attorney for the Eastern District of New York. Look, if these allegations are true, you're done, right? Now, mind you, this man is 80 years old. 80 years old. So when he was doing this stuff back in 2008, this dude was like in his late 60s. This dude was like in his late 60s, going to his 70s and getting involved in this type of nonsense. Man, look, like I said, everybody that was so outraged about Diddy and all this stuff going on with Diddy, and yet guys like this almost slipped through the cracks. So all you guys out there that's making memes about what Diddy has got going on and all that, at least, man, this is crazy. This is crazy, right? So I want to see all you guys out there that was making all these memes about Diddy and all that, make memes about this guy. This guy was out here trafficking these dudes, recruiting these dudes, holding tryouts, like they getting involved in JV football in them. Boy, This, man, look, this is some crazy stuff right here, man. This is some crazy stuff. And they're doing this stuff on an international level. They're not just doing this stuff in New York. They're going all over the world. The indictment saying that these guys was going to places like, hold on, they were going to England, France, Italy, Morocco, St. Bart. Man, look. And the fact that they've been tracking these individuals for years, and the feds kick down their door like that, and we all know when the feds come for you, hey, they conviction rate is airtight. They got like a 97% conviction rate. So, and this is and these indictments based on what we know. There's no telling how many other victims out there, because of these individuals out here being goddamn on predators and freak shows and all that. And so everybody want to make jokes about Diddy and baby oil and freak offs and all that. These guys are holding sex events with other dudes. And a lot of you guys out there were buying all his Abercrombie and Fitch outfits and all that, right? Look, I wonder if you guys gonna burn these outfits now. Because really, though, that store needs to cease to exist. It don't need to be under new management or whatever like that. The store needs to shut down. Nobody don't need to be buying nothing from them. Nobody don't need to. I mean, there needs to be a literal boycott of this thing. Now, I read the indictment, right? And I have to say this, for legal purposes or whatever, right? These guys are innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. The individuals that I read off in this indictment is innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. But you guys let me know what y'all think about this, man. This is too crazy. Crazy story. We'll follow up more on this channel when we get more information as to the court date and any other evidence that might emerge while this indictment going on. I wouldn't be surprised if this is a superseding indictment too, right? If anybody else comes out and saying that, they've been victims of this heinous act by these, predators or whatever like that, I wouldn't be surprised if this is a superseding document and more charges emerge, just like the whole Diddy case. But if you're not subscribing to this channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit that like button, and share these videos on your social media platforms. Last but definitely not least, shouts out to the LDBC. This your man. Scream at me. Ho!